I'm not going to start this off again by saying some BS about how, I haven't been able to keep track of everything and get in entries like I want to. I've just had so much going on, and it is finally nice to be able to sit down and talk about one of the many things that I've been putting on my list of entries to make. New things have been coming out, and I've been watching them, and I've been putting them on the list, and even older things that are like, I'd like to talk about this a little bit. And I just haven't gotten to actually sit down and do anything yet, and it feels nice to finally have a little bit of time to talk about a couple of things. What I've been doing a lot of, really, is getting into all of the shows that we've been getting over the course of May and June. We've gotten a lot of good stuff that's been coming out, especially June. June was a big month for TV shows and shows that we all love and appreciate. Things like The Umbrella Academy, The Boys. But one that I want to talk about right now is one that I feel gets a lot of attention, but I also feel like it doesn't get enough almost. Like, it does feel like this deserves a little bit more credit than a lot of people probably don't give it. And I'm talking about an HBO original called Barry. Now, Barry is already on its third season. Its third season just ended. It's already been renewed for its fourth season, and I can't wait for it because it is phenomenal. The writing and the acting for this show is just so good, and I've loved it since episode 1. And the fact that this season totally flipped everything up on its head is just something I'm here for, and I appreciate it so much. Now, I might spoil a few things. Again, we're already up to the third season. If you're not caught up, especially with the third season, its last episode aired mid-June. So if you're not caught up with it, I do apologize, but you should definitely sit down with it, especially if you have not watched it at all yet, because it's fantastic. So here's the premise. The premise is a ex-military Marine who was dishonorably discharged doesn't know what to do with his life. So he is taken up by somebody who knew his father. I guess he's another ex-Marine guy. I can't remember off the top of my head if he was a Marine or not, but he picks him up and he says, you know what? You're going to be able to make a living out of doing this. So he becomes an assassin. So he spends years being an assassin, and then he just kind of at some point decides he doesn't want that to be the rest of his life. So what he decides to do instead was to join acting classes so he could become a television actor. It's such a funny premise. And what's even better is that it's created by this guy, Alec, what's his last name? Alec Berg? I think it's Alec Berg. And Bill Hader. Now, I'm hoping a lot of you know who Bill Hader is, because he not only was he a real big piece of SNL history and he's SNL alumni, but he is hilarious. He's such a funny actor. He does a lot of impressions. I'm a huge Bill Hader fan, and I've loved him since his SNL days, and I've loved almost everything he's in. I love the fact that he played Alpha 5 in Power Rangers. I love that he played older Richie in the It Chapter 2 film. I love he has another film with Kristen Wiig called Skeleton Twins. I think that's a tremendous film. I think he's just a great actor, and almost a lot of the stuff he does is just it's not anything, not even just things that he stars in, but things that he does minor cameos in. He blows it out of the water. He was in the Men in Black 3 movie where Will Smith goes back in time and he meets who does he play? And what's the artist's name? It's one of those ridiculous artists from the friggin' 70s, and he plays him, but he's actually an agent, so he's actually making fun of the artist himself. I can't believe I can't remember the artist's name, but it's just everything Bill Hader does is amazing. So the fact that he's in this playing not only a serious character, but also this character that his seriousness also comes out as being kind of goofy, because he's really he doesn't have like the social skills because all he's really known is military and killing people. Like he definitely has some form of a mental kind of social block that doesn't allow him to really come up and be a normal member of society. Now, just with the premise alone, just with that premise of ex-assassin attempts to turn actor is something that is really what drew me to the show. Not even just Bill Hader, but when you see some of his first interviews around the time where season 2 was just coming out, and he was still kind of getting praise for season 1. He's the writer, he's the director, he's the producer. So everything about that show he touches, and it just shows how creative he can really be and how much he can step away from it just being about comedy, because there's a lot more, I would say, drama attached to this show than there is comedy, especially as you've gotten into the 3rd season. So now, the first 2 really draws out the whole comedy acting thing. He's in an acting class where he's getting trained by what's his name? This famous actor in that universe, and his name is Gene, but the actor is played by Henry Winkler. And it's funny to see like Fonzie be a mentor to this guy, not realizing, oh, he's a homicidal maniac. And it's just, it feels like if they wanted to bloat it up and make it longer, they probably could. And it's one of the unfortunate areas of where we are in TV shows of what is getting put out there and the newer things, and the things that are newer are now good. They're making them shorter. So like each season so far has been 8 episodes. Each episode ranges from 25 to 35, 40 minutes, and that's not that long when you could easily kind of maybe expand a little bit more if you wanted to bloat it up. I don't want to say things feel rushed. They definitely don't feel rushed. It just feels, you just feel upset that you're already done with it. And by the time the 3rd season was done, I was like, holy shit, it's going to take so long to get season 4 because there's 3 years. The season 2 premiered in 2019. We just got season 3 this April 2022. Granted, I know we just went through the pandemic, 2 years of production and trying to produce things. Very difficult, understandable. But thinking about what the future holds, I'm hoping we can get some things quicker now than having to wait much longer. Because the first 2 seasons had very similar premieres. Started in March, ended in May. Started in March, ended in May. 2018, 2019. 3 years later, April to June, and now hopefully with production still kind of kicking, they already got the renewal, and I already know that Bill Hader is doing his thing, getting it ready, but it just ends on such a great note, the 3rd season, that who the fuck knows what they're going to do with the next season. Who the fuck knows what they can do with the next season? So, like I said, 1st season, him trying to be an actor, him stepping out of the assassin life. 2nd season, he's kind of stepping more into that actor role. He's really trying to get himself in there while still dealing with stuff happening on the outside, making money, trying to get away from the assassin game, I guess. And he winds up falling in love with one of the people that he takes the acting class with, and then they start working together a lot, and they start doing a lot of things together, so he's balancing that, and there's all these other little storylines that happen in the middle, like her abusive boyfriend comes back, and then he winds up killing his mentor's girlfriend, who turns out to be the FBI agent who was hunting him down because he is an assassin and he's killed a lot of people. So they're like, we got to find this guy. So she figures out it's him. Then he has to kill her. And he's like, holy shit, I just killed Jean's, the love of Jean's life. And it's all these twists and turns that it takes that you kind of don't 100% expect it. But even if you did, you're glad it went there. And I feel like that's really tough to kind of nail. It's also really tough to nail the comedy and the drama together. It's really difficult to make those things marry so well, and I think this show does a tremendous job at marrying those two ideas, because you got a guy like Bill Hader who, yeah, you might look at him and think, oh, comedy, because of all of his years in SNL, but really, Skeleton Twins is very much a more serious role for him. Even though he played a comedian, Richie Tozer, in It Chapter 2, that is still a relatively, serious role in the grand scheme of things. So he does have it in him to do these more serious and more or dramatic filled portrayals of characters. And I feel like this show definitely shows that. It shows his range, because it really just takes it out of any of the comedy or any of the trauma that he's going through, the character of Barry, or whatever trauma he's going through, because he's suffers from PTSD. He's struggling with his own identity. He's trying to manage and juggle the ability of hiding his secret, but still managing his secret and doing acting and trying to find love. And it's just all these things rolled into one. And Bill Hader does a great job showing you all those emotions. There's a great scene in the third season. I want to say it's probably within the first 3 episodes. I forget which one it is, but it's definitely in 1, 2, or 3, where he goes to the girlfriend's office. And he's like, you just got a show deal. I need you to put this guy on it because he needs it. He's down in the dumps. I need you to do it for me. And she's like, well, I tried, but nobody wants him. Nobody wants to work with him because he's an asshole. And he's like, well, you got to do this for me. It means my life. If I don't do this, I will die. And she's like, well, I've already tried doing it, and it's a no-go. I don't get why you're not understanding that. And there's this part where he's just smacking himself in the head, and then he starts shouting. There's a split second in your head where you look at that and you go, that's like something Bill Hader would do, and it would be funny. And a split second later, like not even the second he starts screaming, bam, you get a little bit of a chuckle because it's Bill Hader doing it. And then a split second later, you realize, holy shit, he is serious. And then it turns into an even more serious moment where he continues to yell and berate her for about 90 seconds. So being able to capture those minor details in such a simple scene, just to me, just shows the kind of range that a guy like Bill Hader has, and it shows why Barry has been doing such a great job. It's widely reviewed as being an outstanding primetime show. HBO continues to push to want more. As long as he can still write them, then between Bill Hader and Alec Berg, and for those who may not know who Alec Berg or Alec Berger, or maybe even Alec, I forget his last name, but for those who don't know a lot of what he's done, he helped produce some things on Seinfeld, on Curb Your Enthusiasm. He's done some writing for movies. Writing for Seinfeld, obviously, and Curb Your Enthusiasm. But he did write something that took me by surprise when I saw it. What did he write? What did he write? He wrote. What's that movie that came out with this fucking guy? Borat, but it wasn't him as Borat, it was him as The Dictator. He wrote The Dictator, so he's the guy who wrote that movie, and if you're a Borat fan, you might appreciate that, and you might already know that. But yeah, Alec Berg definitely has some years under his belt, especially when it comes to, I would say, comedy. So seeing a guy like him with that kind of background, been in the business 30 some odd years, however long Seinfeld goes back, and teaming him up with Bill Hader and them just having free range. Literally, it's one of the greatest things when I see stuff like that, when the credits roll and it's literally the same 2 names for the first 5 different credited roles. Director, Bill Hader, Alec Berg. Or just Bill Hader. Or just Alec Berg. Writer, Bill Hader, Alec Berg. Executive producer, Bill Hader. Executive producer, Alec Berg. They have such control over this, and when you give people that are creative, that create these stories, when you give them the control to do what it is they want to do, and you don't meddle with it so much, you get really, really good storytelling. You get drama that's like this. You get these sort of these sort of tales that you wouldn't probably get if you didn't give them the chance in the first place. And that's what I appreciate about this show, and I think it's fantastic. I hope it goes longer. I don't know. I don't know what they're gonna do after the cliffhanger of the third season, but I mean, I'm here for it. I'm here for whatever you got. I'll take anything. I'll take more Bill Hader. I'm a huge fan of his, and I'll keep soaking it up and eating it because I want more Barry. Barry's tremendous. Please don't make me wait 3 years for season 4.